to our very special guests, Ms. Lara and Aparna Piramal Raje. Aparna, Lara is formerly the Chief Purpose Officer and MD of Roche India, and she will be talking about the subject of rehumanizing the leadership with purpose across organizations and workspaces. Welcome, Lara. Thank you for joining us. And moderating the session will be Aparna Piramal Raje. Aparna is thought leader on business, design, and workspaces. Her first book, Working Out of the Box, 40 Stories of Leading CEOs, was published in 2015. It is based on Head Office, her popular monthly column in the Mint, Hindustan Times. This features the head of organization and look at the leadership through the lens of workspaces and work style. Over 75 CEOs from India and overseas have been profiled in the series of the day. Previously CEO of BP Ergo, one of the India's largest modular furniture companies, Aparna completed an MBA from Harvard Business School in 2002. And she has studied economics, politics, and philosophy at Oxford University. Aparna, over to you.
Thank you, Tushar. Thanks. Lara, thanks for joining us. Before we begin, I thought we could have a little bit more about your very impressive CV. So Lara, you have an international career in pharmaceuticals that spans 27 years. You've worked in 3 continents and 7 countries. You've been holding a senior management position since 2003 at various different companies, right from being a general manager to being the MD. You were one of the first senior women executives in Latin America holding a position in Venezuela. And your work on being purposeful has been featured in several different media. So tell us, how did you find yourself in India? And how did you find yourself with the title of Chief Purpose Officer?
Thank you, Aparna. This is a pleasure to be here. So I ended up being in India, and it was a big gift. I was a general manager of Roche in Venezuela, and my assignment was finishing. And by coincidence, and I believe there are no coincidences, I heard about the position being open of the GM of India. So at this time, I asked to come to India because I had already a very big kind of attraction for India. And the work that we have done in Roche, Venezuela has impacted a lot. And we worked a lot with people, we worked a lot with the stakeholders. And I thought that it would be very nice if I could do the same work in a country like India, that we could impact and help much more lives. So I ended up applying for the position, and I got the position. And one of the things that happened is that they gave me a green light to come to India and tell Lara, we have to do something very different in India, because the situation of the multinationals in India, the situation of Roche in India can be improved a lot. And they allowed me to come here and to try new things. So I ended up having the Chief Purpose Officer position. Let's say I came here as a managing director. And when I arrived, what I try is to work with the whole team and together for us to try to find what really we could do here in India differently. And by the end, what happened is that together with the team, we put together a strategy that we wanted to translate the purpose of Roche, that is doing now what patients need next, for India. And by arriving in India, Panna, what I did with the team was ask them, what are the 3 things that you would like me to focus on? And what are 3 things that you all are doing that you believe that is doing very well? In doing this, because each time changing countries, I arrived to a country that I don't know the country so much. I just know the portfolio of the company, and people who are working in the country know so much the country. And what happened is that the three things that they asked me to focus on is for us to find a vision for the company, to work in the strategy further, and in the engagement of the team. So the leadership team of Roche in India worked in translating the purpose of the company, the global company, for India. So by the end, the decision of the team, translating and making a vision as a whole company together, they had figured out that the reason why we were in India was to go beyond. For us to do now what patients need next, we should also work in the healthcare, helping the access of healthcare. So in this, it was this balance between promoting our products, selling our products, but also helping beyond and working really on helping healthcare access. With this, we changed completely the operating model of the organization, and we changed completely also the strategy. The positions changed. So for example, the commercial team was transformed in a value team, because they believe that they have to give value to the patients, to the stakeholders, and not only sell. Selling would be a consequence of it. Many positions changed, and this was starting by June 2018. By November 2018, when lots of positions were changed, then it came my position. I was managing director, and then I was asking the team, what exactly is the position that I should have? Because I'm not managing the team anymore. Everything was changed. We decentralized the operation. The empowerment was with the teams in the States. They were not doing, for example, business plans anymore. They were doing life-saving plans. We were not measuring anymore the sales, but the number of the patients. And then it came two different titles: Chief Transformation Officer or Chief Purpose Officer. And the team decided that the name should be Chief Purpose Officer, because my role would be always to remember the organization, why we were here for. And if we would always remember why we are here for, then all of the results would come, because we would be serving the patients. So this is how my Chief Purpose Officer position came.
How did you, when you're going through a drastic transformation like that, you're changing positions, people can get insecure about their jobs, and you're changing positions across all the hierarchies. So how did you manage to get everybody collectively together?
Aparna, what happened is that from the beginning, what we did is mainly to align the leadership first, and then to align the rest of the organization towards the vision of the company. Parallel to this, what was done is that the leadership team, we worked together to understand first why we as individuals, we were here. So what exactly was the purpose of each one? So when we started to work with this, with the leadership team, and started to think, okay, we are going to develop a new strategy, we are going to develop a new vision, but why are we here as human beings? When we started to bring this human part and this individual part and the purpose, and we as leaders started to see as a whole, and when from the deep inside us, we were asking the team, the whole organization, what would be our vision? How can we work together? This holistic approach of the human beings as leaders was completely impacted in the whole organization. At the same time, we were doing lots of work together, the leadership team, with the individuals. we made also a purpose exercise with all the individuals of the organization. Because one thing that I believe a lot, Aparna, is that if each one of us, we understand, we have our purpose, and we know why we are here, and we identify our values and our purpose with the vision of the company, then this will come automatically. So this is the way that we did with the leadership, with the whole organization. And then when we were asking about the vision of the company, we were asking about the strategy of the company, we involved also the organization. In this way, we were able to align because all of us, we felt a commitment to the organization, to India, as a team, collectively.
That's really great. I mean, as you said, I think to be able to align the individual purpose and the individual sense of purpose with the company vision is if that can happen, then that always is something very valuable to both the employee as well as the organization. So how has how has purpose and focusing on people overall helped your career over these last many years? Obviously, you've talked about the India example, but in other examples also.
Well, indeed, this was not always like this. In my first leadership position, that was in Hungary in 2003, I started to work a lot with the team in their individuals. So I was always a person, a professional that was very organized, result focused. I wanted always to deliver the results that were asked, and even more, I was very competitive. And when I arrived at 33 years old, already a general manager of a company, I started to question a lot the why I was doing everything that I was doing. And at a certain moment, I wanted to impact beyond just the results of the company. And I started to read a lot about spirituality. I started to read a lot about Indian scriptures. And I shared this with the whole organization. So everything that I was learning in my personal life, I was sharing also with the organization. And at a certain moment, I started to notice that the moments that we were having extraordinary results much bigger than I was expecting, I noticed that it was these moments where the connection with the whole organization was beyond only the result of the company as profit or sales. When we were all growing together and when we had a commitment with the country, with the stakeholders, with the customers, it changed a lot. From this moment on, I started to understand also that bringing purpose, bringing spirituality to the workplace and having an environment where the human beings are able to be whole and they can be themselves. This is the moment that you can take the best out of each other, trusting, having unconditional positive regard. And from there, I started to read a lot, and I started to read some quantum physicists that were writing about organizations. I started to read different approaches to understand how can I bring even more this meaning to the work. And this is how I was developing my leadership style, always trying to make people not being afraid to be themselves, to bring their doubts, to bring their learning to the workplace. So they would not have to do volunteering. They would not have to wait until retirement for them to feel that they are having an impact, making a difference. If you allow them to do this, They will wake up in the morning willing to go to the work because they feel that they are making a difference. They have purpose.
So could you give us an example of a typical kind of conversation you would have with an employee to make them feel more purposeful in their life, about feeling that more motivated about coming to work? Something that might have happened.
Yes. So one thing that we do, for example, when we are hiring people, we ask them to write a purpose letter.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to come to the company. First, they have to start to think about, because it's not everybody that is thinking about purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they start by writing a letter, telling what is their purpose. When we are in the organization, what we do, for example, a purpose exercise with the team. One of the things when we are working together to understand purpose, we sit down together and, for example, individually or in the group, one question that I always make, because some people tell, I am not sure what is my purpose, or my purpose is to be a leader. Many people make this confusion about our life goals with the meaning and the purpose that you have. So many times what I ask the people is, just imagine that you are in a room and you are seeing people in this room, and that moment you understand that these people were there for your funeral, and they are talking about you, and they are talking about something that they are remembering about you that you are very proud about. What exactly is that you would like to be remembered for your life? And people start to reflect, what exactly I want to be remembered for. And then I ask, if you would die today, the people who spent the day with you today, what would they remember? So how can you close this gap? And you have your work, you have your colleagues. How can you make this happen right now? This is, for example, one of the conversations that we have.
And Lara, what are the kind of answers you get?
It is very funny because many times we get different answers. I tell you a story. There was one person that was telling, and he was a very good value specialist, meaning medical representative. So sales representative. He was telling, but to be remembered, to make a difference, it's just somebody like Gandhi, somebody like this. And then it was like, I am not able to have a purpose and make a difference in my work. And then I started to talk to him, and suddenly I asked him, give me examples of some patients that you helped, some families that you helped, your colleagues. And he started to think, and then he shared a story with me of a family that they needed treatment for their mother of breast cancer. And he helped this family. And this family until now was contacting him. So in this way, I was telling, do you understand how big difference you make for this person? And this is a huge difference. And these are the difference that we can make in our work that sometimes we do not value. But if we understand that whatever we do, wherever we are, we will always make a negative or a positive impact. If we strive always to make a positive impact, you are making a difference. So these are some questions or doubts, and there are a lot. The beautiful thing, Aparna, is that after 1-2 years working together, there is a beautiful potential that is unleashed among people and collectively, because when everybody starts to bring these doubts also, and they see that the doubts are not only theirs, but they feel this network of support to do something bigger. The work together is completely different because you feel like in a family, and a family with a clear objective and vision to help others. So you bring your business beyond, and results are completely different.
You shared a statistic where you said that employee engagement actually doubled from 46% to nearly 90%, and your attrition actually came down from 36% to 11%. So there were actually tangible measures of this approach. So, sometimes people think that, something like purpose is a bit of a touchy-feely, very soft and fuzzy kind of approach to doing business. What do you have? How do you respond to people, to this whole issue of putting emphasis on people and culture as a way of growing the business?
I think that it's not only doing this. You have to have a good strategy. You have to have good people. The point is that the best marketeer, the best salesperson can go until a limit. If you bring purpose, you can go even further. So what I truly believe is that all human beings, we will be able only to work without a limit and doing an extraordinary job if we think that we are doing not only for the paycheck, not only for the salary, yeah? But I come back a little and I give you an example. So relating to the time that we are living, like crisis that we are facing right now. When we were in Venezuela, yeah? So when we were in Venezuela, there were lots of challenges. And during 5 years working in Venezuela, there were lots of situations of crisis that we had to face and taking decisions that were very difficult while running the business. The difference that we made there is because we brought purpose also, we were able to take decisions, for example, that were mixed short term with longer term. What happened when you bring purpose? You bring purpose. You are doing something for your life, not only for that moment. It's like you bring a vision to your company. You know that you want to survive whatever crisis. You want to go beyond. Having this kind of approach, you will be able always to take a decision at that moment that is not based on avoiding something and short term. You will always focus on a long term. So bringing purpose, focusing on people will understand if they are focusing on people, it's because they see long term. So why shouldn't I do also? So this is about sustainability. This is about really bringing the whole team about working together towards something in the future. Is exactly what is happening in our partner. The only companies and governments that will really succeed after COVID to face recession and come back quicker will be the ones that are reliable, that the population and the employees believe in the company, in their leaders. So I really believe that this is not a soft talk. This is a need.
And what do you suggest for companies who are looking to come back to COVID? Because it's such a tough choice, right? You need to keep your business going, but you also need to look after your employees, and there may be trade-offs when it comes to making that decision. So how does your sense of purpose guide you in that area, Lara?
So I think that this is the moment that you need even more, no? Because you need to be vulnerable. I think that one thing that is very important in this moment is communication. Communication is super important. Leaders should communicate. If your company have if your company has worked before in a vision and you have a long-term strategy and your team members are also aligned with this purpose and this long-term vision, it is much easier for you to communicate because we have a long-term vision, because we want to be here for our customers after COVID. There are steps that we will have to take, and we would like everybody to understand. So when taking decisions that might be tough, first, try to ask people. It might be that you will not have the answer that you need to take a tough decision, but people would be heard. And when you are taking decisions, you always explain the why, and you explain that this is for the business to have the sustainability that is needed for the customers in the future. And then assure that when everything is coming back, we will have a place and we might, for example, hire back people. This moment is a moment, Aparna, that even if you do not have an answer, you should tell, right now I do not know what is the next step, and we are taking this decision based on this information that we have. As much as everybody understands what is going on, easier is for everybody to support the decisions taken. It's not easy, but you as a leader, if you understand that you are taking a decision that is not based on fear, emotion, or the moment, but you are balancing the short term with the future sustainability, thinking on people, it is much easier and the impact is much less in the organization.
So what is your general view on COVID? Like, do you have a sense as to how long it's going to take before things come back, and will there be the normal, or will life never be the same again?
I think that who has this answer would be the trillionaire right now. but there is something that I choose always to see what are the learnings and what is that we can work with after something not so good happens, And right now, what I am seeing is that we will have a new normal. There will be a new normal that will never be as it was before. But at the same time, I truly believe that this is in favor of the corporations, in favor of the governments. If you just let us try to step back and observe as audience of what is happening. In February in Davos, the World Economic Forum brought the risk assessment of the global economy. For 50 years, they are bringing the global threats, And the first year that the 5 most probable threats that the global economy will have, they are environmental, meaning that you cannot control, meaning that you will have to be ready to have an impact in the economy that it is very difficult to deal with. After this appeared in February, many of the corporations and countries, they get together to tell how are we going to work to face these challenges together that are very different for the future. At the same time, a digital era is coming, When COVID happened, what is this? It's kind of a test of how would we face, how would it be, these challenges of the environment. And at the same time, how can we work together as countries, corporations, differently to face it? So the new normal that I think that will come is that the corporations that will be successful are the corporations that are really thinking this sustainability and helping the community, working together not only for their own success, At the same time, the countries that cooperate and see that there is impact and life beyond their own limits, they will be the ones that are thinking really globally. So what I see right now is that many leaders will understand that helping beyond their countries or their companies will be the new normal. Employees that understand that they have to prepare themselves as whole human beings will be the ones that will be much more successful in their private lives and in their professional lives. People who didn't know how to work with digital tools started to love them because it was the only way to connect with other people. So we wanted to be with our families. Now we know what is to be with our families. I see many things that will be the new normal that will help us to make this leap, this jump that was needed for the new digital era and to face the challenges that we will have. So although I know that this might take a little more time to go, right now we have much more answers than unknown answers. Right now, the situation that we have is much better than mid of March, that we didn't know absolutely anything. Right now is much better, and we are being able to face some situation differently.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said about the new normal being things related to sustainability, and also just for the first time that all the 5 threats were environmental threats, and all the players being able to play a role in that. I think that's something for all of us to think about. So as you know, we did a survey of the people who are participating in today's webinar, asking them some questions about their own lives. And I thought I would share the results of those with you and ask you to respond to them and see what your reaction is. So some of them were quite interesting, I thought. The question was, what brings you meaning? And 61% of people said feeling valuable, part of a community. 21% saying being recognized by people around you. And 16% said having a successful career. So 60% said being part of a community, and 21% said being recognized by people around you, and 16% having a career. Now, I'm just wondering if that skew towards being part of a community is a post-COVID kind of response, because we normally might think of ourselves as having a career or being a successful person or being recognized by people, by peers around us, as being very more important than being part of a community. But now that we're all isolated and we're in quarantine, we are actually realizing that it's important to be part of communities like what we're doing today. What do you think?
I think that all human beings, by the end, they want to be part of a community because, everybody at a certain time on their lives, they will stop everything and they will tell, what is that I am doing? And when they think about this, they will always think in the impact that they have on people around them. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a successful career, that means that you helped people enough so you are recognized and you are in a higher position. So by the end, although COVID, I think that accelerated, I will tell you something. Also the Indians, I saw that they are very competitive, and they were telling me, Lara, you will see that Indians are very competitive, and even in the workplace, they are thinking just on themselves and then to find career success, being promoted. It's because of the way that they are raised, the education in India, that all parents, they want to give the best education for the children, and then they have to have the best careers. But also, after everybody in India, they have a good career or they are in the right path, their parents ask always, what are you doing now to give back to your community? And this is something from the parents in India. So somehow, I really believe that if we help everybody everybody in the workplace to be able to bring meaning and impact in the community. And while they are being successful in their careers, they can also tell how much they are improving the community around them. This is the best case scenario. And you were right that I think that COVID is accelerating it. Thanks God.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so why do you wake up every day? It is by far to sustain your family versus cumulative wealth. So it's 71% to sustain your family and 30% to accumulate wealth to be able to retire sooner and enjoy life. So I think, does that reflect that people are still kind of living, what do you think that reflects? Is they sort of living by the paycheck?
No, I think that this is normal because many times we think that it's either or. But of course, by the end, you are having a job because you want to sustain your family. The question here is, what is the difference between accumulating wealth or sustaining family? If you go further and you tell why you are accumulating wealth, probably is to give the best for my family, for my future, right? And in this point exactly, the question is, are you working in a job and then you will not accumulate wealth enough? Why? Because if you're just doing the job and you're just doing for the paycheck, you will not do the extra mile because you will want to go out of your job to do something for your community. If you are able to put this together and you want to sustain your family, but you are able to bring to your job, to bring to your work something extra, for sure, these results will be even bigger. So the question is for everybody to consciously to tell, if I am here to sustain my family, the next question would be, so how can I do this in a way that I am proud of myself and what I am doing?
Okay. So if you could have all the money in the world, would you be living a completely different life? So what do you think the results of that are? So the results.
It's more yes, right?
No, it's more no. It's saying would I be living yeah, that's a nice thing. So it's 60% no and it's 40% yes. So would I be living a different life? Yes. Is less than no's. So most people would be doing what they want to do.
So I think one point we have to consider the audience demography. Like we have around 50% owners, MD in this conversation, in this group right now. 250 people are in the group, and 50% or little less than 50% is senior executive. 30% is senior executive, and 20% people are executives. So I think you should see the results with that lens also.
Okay. And but this is very interesting, not to share, because I think that in this level, many times people will start to question, would I do completely different what I'm doing? So maybe this is also a consequence of COVID and the reflection of this last month, because I did this question many times in many different places, and normally the yes is bigger than the no. So this is a very good sign for everybody, because I think, that when you tell yes, for these people that told yes, I would be doing something completely different, then the question is, what would be different and why you would be doing something different? So what is that you want to achieve doing something completely different? So do you have to change what you are doing right now to achieve this? Or what you want to achieve, can you do with what you are doing, what you are working, what you are living. And why I tell this? I tell this because in beginning of my career, I was always thinking, oh, I have to do what is my passion. I don't know if this is my passion. I am good at what I am doing, very good, but I don't know if this is my passion. Should I look out for it? And my mother told me once, you always will be having this question when you are facing difficulties in your professional life or on what you decided. The question is, every time you are going to jump and look for something that you like, and then when there is difficulty, you will question again, or you will start to be wise to face difficulties and then start liking what you are doing and just change if you truly find something that you can make a difference or you can be better on. So the question for the people that told yes is, right now with what you are doing, if you would be able to do what you are doing differently to achieve what you would like with the different life, how would you change what you are doing right now? Because this is the secret of them bringing the extra mile and loving what you do and make a difference wherever you are in whatever you are doing. So this is my comment on the people who told yes.
Good. I'm sure there are those in the audience who are listening who found that very valuable. So the next question was, how would you like to be remembered when you die? And the options are as a successful person, or as a good family member, or as a good human being. And by far, 85% of people said as a good human being, 5% of people said as a good family member, and 10% of people said as a successful person. So again, I think, is this a universal trait of humankind? What do you think?
Yes. Aparna, one of the things in the 7 different countries that I work at, with so many different cultures, one thing in common with everybody is that by the end, everybody wants to get things right. Everybody wants to do everything in the right way, and sometimes the mistakes that happen is because somebody wants to do so well and be better than others that you will do something that might impact negatively. But intrinsically, everybody wants to do things right, to be a human being, to be recognized by what they do and to be valuable. So this is my belief in human beings, and that's why one of the things that I always have when I am leading, whatever I am, and I learned these 3 words with the leadership team of Roche India, is to have unconditional positive regard. If you always believe in the human beings and you understand that they will always want to be better human beings, you give the space for them and you take the best out of them. Because the human beings, they just do something extraordinary and they can do things that they would never believe in when somebody is there for them and believe in them. So that's why this is one lesson that we have to learn. The majority of the human beings, they want to be better human beings. And if we help each other to do this, then all of the results, being in the personal life or professional life, will be much better.
Good. That's a very optimistic view, Lara. It's nice to hear that. I think it's good. So this was very nice to see. Do you believe in your co-workers? And that was a flat out 100% response. So that was
nice.
That was very nice. So I won't say much about that. Do you believe you are responsible for your co-workers and their families? This was also pretty unanimous. It was 95%. And there's only a 5% no. So that could have been for whatever reasons, but I think 95% agreeing with that is also very nice. So, what was your main concern with COVID-19? The productivity of the team working from home or their well-being and ability to limit their work hours? So, 20% said productivity and 80% said their well-being. So again, that was. So do you think shall I just throw a spanner in the works and ask you, is that people being nice because they're filling in a survey and they want to put the right answer, or do you think genuinely this is how people are looking after their employees and their colleagues during the crisis? That is human nature to look out.
I think that many times people first, they are worried by others, by the human beings. And that's why also it's so difficult to take decisions, because you do not want to hinder, to harm lives of others. But at the same time, of course, the productivity is a fear, because even people who are probably worried about productivity, they are worried because they have to have results and they have to be able to maintain their financial sustainability, because otherwise you cannot take care of people. So I think in the both sides is just probably what is the priority, because I don't believe that somebody will just go for profitability and for financial sustainability without thinking on people. I think that the question here is just what is the priority. And what is nice to see is that in this situation, many people was really worried about their employees. And we see by the steps that were taken, how they helped people working from home, and all of the activities on well-being that were shown. So I believe that this is just a question of priority.
Okay, that's good. Do you believe all your employees are able to give an extra mile? And that was a nice response. 80% said yes, 20% said no. So that was good. Are you thinking about different strategies to work after COVID? Yes, and it's very different from how I worked before. That was 42%. Yes, and it will include much more importance to social impact, 46%. No, my strategy is good enough, only 2%. Maybe, but I do not have the time to think about it, 9%. So people are clearly thinking about the new normal, as you talked about, and what you said earlier, the remarks that people have to think about, especially sustainability. So that's really good. I just go to the next question. Are you proud of your company's actions in the COVID-19 challenge? And that was pretty unanimous, actually. 98% said yes. So that's a nice thought. Did you want to say anything to that, or should I just skip to the next question?
I just make a comment that this is what I'm seeing also now. After the first month, the first weeks, everybody worked a lot together. And I see a different approach of the business and the corporations, and many people stepping out of their comfort zone to really go beyond and help community and help others. Because to face COVID, you have to do this together. You cannot do alone. And I think that this will be a very good indication of how the new normal will be. And it is nice to see it, right?
Yeah, it is nice to see. Are you willing to go the extra mile for your company? And that's really nice to see. It was 100% response. So that was
very good.
Do you believe you have used this isolation to evolve yourself? 87% said yes, only 13% said no. And what did you focus on? 67% said professional goals, and 33% said personal goals. So that was interesting. Do you believe you can make you can make a difference in the recovery of your company after COVID? And that was 95% said yes. So Yeah, that's it. And just to give you the breakup, so we had 29% owners, 9% CEOs or CXOs, 7% managing directors, 42% senior executives, and 13% executives. So it was really skewed towards people who were at the senior end. No, I just thought I'll just give Lara, do you want to just overall comment on the survey, and then we can just move to the Q&A.
I have two questions from
go ahead.
the audience. One is from Miss Rubina Mittal. What are the lessons for the individuals, society and countries need to learn post-coronavirus crisis?
I think that what I have referred to is something very important. It's about trust and reliability. I was listening to this podcast of Harvard Business Review on future of work, and a columnist of the New York Times, he was telling that the only thing that is completely sure is that this recession and the recovery of what is happening right now will be completely different of the other recessions, because this will depend on people really trusting the information that they will receive so they can go back to the normal. So what does it mean? That in a country that responsible leaders are telling you can go back to the normal life and you can go back to work because the COVID situation is controlled. If the population trusts these individuals, they will go back to work and the economy will come back. The same with the business and the companies. The companies where the leaders have more reliability and trust from their organization, these will be the companies that will have more commitment. And because right now is just how fast can we come back to the normal and how fast can we understand what the new normal will be. So for me, the biggest lesson here is how important it is for leaders to be very responsible in their decisions, their communication, and their intentions. So in the future, for me, the biggest lesson here is the trust between employees, population, with governments and institutions, companies. Trust will be something very important to be rebuilt and to be seen in a much different level in the future.
You have
so this is my opinion. No?
Thank you, Lara. Thank you very much. There is one question is coming from Kevin. How relevant is servant leadership in today's business environment?
How relevant?
Yes, how relevant, yeah.
Uh-huh. So I will just take from, not my opinion, if you go to the EEF website and you see all of the work that is being done with different governments and companies on the future of work, in the education in the future, this is the main point. How much can we serve others, and how much can we build and foster an environment where people can help each other? And this helping each other and taking the best out of each other and creating this environment is being a servant leader. And it's not only the leaders, it's not only bosses, let's say. Everybody can be a servant leader when you are leading some decisions, when you are leading some situation. You have the responsibility to understand what is the intention behind and what is the impact that you can cause, because everybody in a certain moment will have the power to influence others. How will you do it? Your intention and motivation will determine if you are a servant leader and impact positively or not. So the importance of servant leader in the future is crucial. We have to do things to serve others. And who will be able to understand it will be much more successful faster than others. This is my opinion.
Which was the website you mentioned in the beginning, Lara? You said to go somewhere.
The EEF, World Economic Forum.
Oh, World Economic Forum. Yeah.
Go to the World Economic Forum and
Yeah.
you look, for example, future of work. You will see lots of discussions that are ongoing right now on education. So, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 4 that is quality education, there they are also thinking on the sustainable life of individuals. So I think that this is a very good website for everybody to go and to understand a little.
Lara, thank you. There is another question from Ramya Iyer. Ramya is asking, do you think the whole attitude might change once a vaccine is in place or a cure is in place? Would organizations still continue to focus on employee well-being?
This is a very interesting question. I do not have a straight answer to it. What I truly believe is that everybody will be much more worried about well-being of employees and how to support an environment where people can work better, and in a difficult situation, in a challenging situation, in a crisis like this, how can I assure that my employees can continue delivering their work? So even if it is for focusing on productivity, well-being, I believe that we'll have a completely different place in the discussions of the leadership.
Thank you, Lara. There is a very interesting question from Fernando. How we can help people achieve their purpose and how it aligns with their personal interest also.
Oh, this is very nice. There is one thing that I truly believe is that there are levels of people. So there are people that they are in their search of purpose, and there are people that they identified and recognize how powerful it is for you to live your purpose and strive for something beyond just the material results. These are the people that they start to tell how I help others to find their purpose, because they understand how meaningful, how important, how impactful it is. And even for the productivity of the organization, this is much better. So the way that you help others to find purpose is giving space for them first to share their fears, to share what are their dreams. And when you are able to connect with people in a different level, you are able to start to ask this kind of questions. Is the ikigai? Is what is that you have passion? Are you today working in a place that you find this line between what you have a passion and what you're good at? Or you are working on what you're good at, but you're doing your passion out of work? When you put this together and then you ask that question, what you are doing is making a difference in the world needs. How can you transform what you are doing in what the world needs? And everybody can find a way to help the world through what they are doing. And if you are being able to be paid for it, meaning in the work, the job that you are realizing every day, you are able to impact at least one person per day positively. This person is in the path to find their purpose. So helping people to find their ikigai, communicating a lot, giving the space for people to talk and to be themselves is a way to help people to find purpose. And everybody can help each other.
Lara, we will take one or two last questions. So another question is coming from Jose Manuel. Why is the most important part in order to align purpose, but companies measure KPIs on scale sales mostly? Shouldn't they have KPIs of purpose alignment? If people work with clear purpose, the results should always be delivered. The question is that KPIs on sales, capabilities, not on the purpose capability. So how we manage the KPIs accordingly?
Look, I think that by the end, if you have an organization that is purposeful and is a company that is aligned, the results will come in sales. So by the end, I think that the secondary way to see if your company is working with purpose is to see also sales. But what I believe that is very important is to find some new KPIs in between that will show people what is the true why of your company. So for example, why you are doing what you are doing is to help patients. Can you measure how many patients you are impacting? Can you display this? So if you are helping the people to have better places and workplaces, can you measure how many organizations change their workplace in order to have a better result? So I think that we should not, it's not either or, we should not skip completely sales target. I did this in the past. I took completely out the sales targets. And what I believe is that we have to have both. This was a mistake that I did, to take completely the sales target and just focus on patients. I think that we have to have both of them. So this balance, I think that is the most important, to do both, find new KPIs.
Great, Lara. Last one question I'm taking from Pallavi Srivastav. She's from Cushman and Wakefield, and she has written that there is a period of reflection. Some things will fail, business will go bust, and so on. But we will also find new opportunities opening up. But in process, how do we ensure that failure that happen in the changing context, we don't take it personally as a shame in leadership, and find strength to differentiate between external parameters and use it constructively, move ahead with optimism and purpose?
This is a very, very good question. I don't believe that everybody will be able always to face failure and smile and tell, oh, how nice that I have failed. I think that the main point is, when you do something wrong, what is the next step that you will take? You will look for blaming, you will look for criticism and judgment, or you will stop that moment and ask the very magic question. Okay, what did I want when this happened? And what I want right now? So if you make this comparison, what was my intention? What was the result? Is my intention the same? So if your intention is still the same, what is that you learned from what failed? What should you change to achieve what you want? I think that the point here is this consciousness of oneself and the others around when a failure happens. And I give this advice as one person. If you are the one making a failure and you see it, and you are afraid what people will tell your supervisor or whoever, the first thing that you have to do is that you yourself be very clear what was your intention. If this intention is kept, what was the failure, what happened, what you learned with it, and what you intend to do, or ask people, if I want to achieve this and what I did didn't bring me to what I wanted, do you have any suggestion to go there? I think that the secret here is to take the failure and understand what you wanted, and not to focus on what you want to avoid, but what you want, and ask people and start to work in what you want. And as soon as people fail very quickly, fast, and have this mentality, growth mindset, to tell, let's focus on what we want together and work towards it, everything can go much quicker. But this is mindset.
Aparna, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. So Lara, thank you very much for that. I thought I would just try and summarize some 2 or 3 key takeaway points, at least for me. First of all, I think that you've given us a very pragmatic approach to purpose. So what you've reminded us is that it's not about just, as you said just now, is getting rid of the sales target, but having a bit of both and being able to put the purpose in that larger context for the organization. So a very pragmatic and a very doable approach to purpose. You've also showed us how to align the individual objective with the collective, and how if we continue to do that, that becomes something that is sustainable for the organization and sustainable for the employee both. And also, you've, I think, really appealed to our better sides to say that we're all going to come out of this as better people. We're going to come out of this as better organizations. We're going to think of this as being the new normal is going to be a much more positive. So I think that in these times when we feel a little bit perhaps uncertain about ourselves, I think this is a good opportunity. And Tushar, I think it's to thank you for giving this opportunity for us to feel positive about what is going to happen when we start getting back to work. So I think you've reminded us that we can all be better human beings and better organizations. So that's it. So thank you, and it was great speaking with you and talking to you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Tushar.
Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, everyone, to join this series of leadership at Workplace Trends. And please follow LinkedIn of Workplace Trends, where you can get regular updates and regular feeds of stories ongoing around. And look forward to meet you soon. We will announce our new series ASAP, and we'll update you on the LinkedIn page. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Thank you.